Greetings, everyone. Today is April 2nd, 2022. I'm gathered with Michael here, and we are going to delve right into session 24, American Rituals. Welcome, Michael.
Hello, dear Brett. Hello, dear listeners. I'm trying to get along with the conspiracies and Kennedy sessions. And I know that maybe I kind of promised last time that we go into the JFK ritual of the November assassination in 1963. But in the meantime, I realized that it would be just a one-time show, and I don't want to leave out some really important information. And therefore, I decided in German as well as in English to go into American rituals in common before we come to the special ritual, which was being executed on JFK. So this is a session in general, so to speak, of American rituals. What are rituals and what is the speciality of American rituals, actually? Well, I'm not speaking about the native Indians, of course. I'm just speaking about things which are happening frequently, but these things are not being seen as a ritual. These things appear to be as accidents. Yeah, these people, they really have the power of the media to cover everything up, and so it appears to be just by accident or an accident or just by a low nut and all the things. Actually, these things are all rituals, and we will show you something rituals in your American history which are very well known to people, but not actually the story behind it. And that's the thing which all these things of assassinations and rituals have in common. They are being executed by members of the secret society. So this is just the ordinary picture, someone lighting a candle with an already enlightened candle, so to speak. So this is a ritual like in any church, and so ritual, yeah, this is a kind of a ritual. And before we go into rituals, to really see how less educated people are, I was stumbling across a video, you won't believe it, of Jay Leno. I really like Jay Leno. I can tell you why. Because he is such a funny character. If I look at him, he almost looks like a comic character. I really find this man sympathetic. The problem I got with him, I know some of his friends. I know that some of his friends are in a secret society, and given the celebrity status that he has, he's most probably also a member of a secret society. But I don't know if that is here absolutely hilarious, funny, or this is actually the real situation. When he's approaching high school students here in 2010, they cannot tell the name of the world's tallest mountain, for example, or they are coming up with such hilarious, but of course wrong answers to extremely simple questions. But it appears to me that in school, nobody knows anything anymore. People are more concentrated on looks. People are more concentrated on entertainment. They maybe know 20 shades of mascara, but they don't know anything how people of Denmark are called. Maybe these are called Denmarkians. Yeah, no, these people from Denmark are called Danish. But she does not know because it is not important for her to make money or to her career. And I don't have anything against that girl or woman. It is just a part that I don't know that if maybe it is staged or not, but I often have realized that it is not only a typical American merit, but a typical merit of young people that they actually don't care about any relevant information as long as it is not important for their social status or their benefit, speaking of their wealth. So it is really hard to go with a session like what a biblical view on conspiracies when people have absolutely no background on usual worldly information. So how will they be interested in receiving real information? Yeah, maybe people nowadays are so being tossed around and manipulated by all the media. I don't know, but it is really hilarious funny when people think that they are Denmarkians instead of Danish and all the other things. Yeah, everybody has a good time, but actually it's very sad because people don't know anything here. Yeah, of course it is funny, but I think that is just not only a comedy show here, but that many people would fail to remember some valuable quotes. We're not talking about the Bible. We're not talking about the Bible, but people are actually making a fun out of it, and that's what I've copied in that thing here. People have left here extremely funny comments. Sorry, but sometimes I have my 5 minutes, please. Yeah. Yeah. I love how confident they were when they answered those questions. Greeting from Austria, the capital of Australia. This is, yeah, this is of course, yeah. This is making, but many people, I think, they think that is something to do with reality. But of course, people mock about other people because they have no real valid history or real valid truth. Second comment, as an Amsterdamian, so they would talk about, oh, the people from Amsterdam, what kind of nationality they have. Instead of saying, oh, they are Netherlands or Dutch or so, people come up with, oh, they're Amsterdamian. Yeah, and so people came up with the idea to quote, as an Amsterdamian living in Iraq, the capital of Denmark, I love watching the sunset over the outback on the Pacific Ocean with my Jewish friends from my home in Berlin. You see that mixing everything around. Yeah. Or it is really calming my nerves that a country with the largest military power, with more army camps all over the world than any other country, has such a proficient level of geography. Yeah, it goes on and on and on. Sometimes I just only read the comments because it is really interesting. Yeah? It is really interesting. I have here copied some things. Yeah. I've already been to Austria. It was beautiful. I've been to Slovenia, the capital of Slovakia. What is a ritual? The etymology claims that religious worship is a ritual, or the prescribed manner of performing such a religious worship is such a ritual. So it has something to do with the religious worship. Interesting. When we go into the Didi Plaza, place of the assassination on your 35th President of the United States, JFK, it's very interesting because I have to enlarge it here, enhance it here. It's been said that the building gained national notoriety when Lee Harvey Oswald allegedly shot and killed President Kennedy. So nothing is proven yet. Okay. This is an aerial picture of that scene, or actually it is of course a Google Street View or something like this. When you look at that aerial, the distance between the 6th floor museum and the Museum of Illusions is not far away. It's just 2 blocks away, so to speak. But the real hilarious joke is that the 6th floor museum actually is the Museum of Illusions for the initiated. Because there it is where they present all their illusions and sell it as reality. This is inside a so-called 6th floor museum where they show you where the alleged assassin Lee Harvey Oswald shot 3 times on the President of the United States. And this is all absolutely BS. And we will prove that in the next session, not in this session, but in the next session. Yeah? And they charge you with that, with, of course, $18, Brett.
Wow.
18.
Oh, 666.
666. Yes. Man. It's very obvious for people who are into the biblical understanding. But what actually strikes me most is that people have to pay for their own doctrine.
Sure.
Yeah. You have to pay for that.
For sure.
They sell you an illusion, and you have to pay for that. And people pay for their illusion. Please don't wake me up.
Right.
Yeah.
Isn't that something?
Yeah. But what is a museum actually? Museum is a university building in Alexandria.
Yeah, gee. That's right.
In Egypt, yeah.
The
From Latin
library were started by the papacy, actually.
Yeah. Library study from Greek, and then it's called originally a temple or shrine of the muses, where the music comes from.
Oh,
Yeah, because
man.
everybody is using the word museum, yeah, sure, museum, and also including myself, don't think about it, but it's actually a temple.
Normalized. Yeah, it's been
Yeah, it's
normalized.
a temple. So people are paying money to go into a temple to be deceived.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's the state of our society, huh? Speaking of Amsterdamian and
well,
Denmarkian.
there's a good segue to kind of get people thinking about what ratio studiorum really is and why, you know, and just that's such an incredible lesson in of itself. How is it that, all our universities, all our institutions use that method?
Mhm.
Yeah, just I don't know. Just one of those things that's very hard to prove to someone unless they've, done the research themselves.
Yeah, so the museum is a depiction of ancient Greek religion and mythology of the Muses.
Hmm.
Has nothing to do with truth. Actually, it's the other way around. It's a temple to worship and venerate images and idols. You see, the Louvre Museum in Paris has that pyramidical shape.
Mm-hmm.
So people pay for their own indoctrination in the
There you
temple,
go. Yep.
absolutely unaware that this is a temple.
Good way to say it, Michael. People pay for their own indoctrination.
Yeah.
We do. And the thing of it is we don't have to live in that mindset anymore. Once we have our eyes opened, we can actually stop doing it, right, Michael? To repent, yeah?
Yeah, sure. We are aware of the things now. We are really woken up. You see, these are the muses here. Clio, which is a name of a Renault automobile in Germany or in Europe. Urania, astronomy. Yeah, it's always the same. It's always the same. Yeah, and in this so-called museum of the sixth floor museum, this is just the beginning of the session here, actually. Oh, this does not work. I know that does not work. They also got this strange website here, ddplaza.jfk.org. They claim to tell you that there are also educational purposes on this floor, so they educate you. Explore the plaza and the front door of Dallas, and also there's a point somewhere in here, it's called education. And then you get your education. You get not the truth, but you get your education, or you get your indoctrination, actually. Buy tickets, try the guides. Don't think. Just
Yep, that's right.
please don't think for yourself. Education. All education efforts advance the museum's commitment to outreach, engagement, and learning by a diverse public and fulfill responsibility to empower students, teachers, and others in the community. It does not speak of truth. There is no truth in this. All indoctrination. Useless information, or not so useless, because they have the meaning is to indoctrinate the people. The primary scene for the assassination. Oh, come on. Now we're going furthermore. Didi Plaza has a very interesting history, actually. This is the front door of Dallas, because that is the very place where everything started here. And this you can see interactive, that you will see that in 1872, the Didi Plaza highlighted were close to the banks of the Trinity River. Yeah? So, for example, the Freemasons, they worship pagan Egyptian Trinity, Isis, and then Horus, and then, of course, Osiris, which later was killed by Set. Then it was growing and growing and growing. After flooding from the Trinity River devastated the entire city in 1908, community leaders realized that Dallas needed a plan. Yeah. And they have had a big plan. You see here in the background the old court building with the wafers on top, the dragon-like wafers on top. Yeah. And so they replaced, or they moved the Trinity River to have then in the Didi Plaza a little bit more space and also more trouble-free city because they have to get rid of the flood of the water, redirected course of Trinity River. And that land was owned by George Benjamin Didi. Of course, high-ranking Freemason. That's what we already told. Yeah, and this is the scene of the crime, so to speak, the warehouse, future home of Texas School Book Depository. Yeah, there were railroad tracks, triple underpass. Yeah, that's just the average information. Now that this has that shape, and this is the infamous Elm Street. So that was just the short things of the things to come. Yeah. So these constructions took place in the 1930s. It was almost completed in 1940. So these temples here and Osiris and statues and Bannerman Didi statues and the so-called reflecting pools and so, they were from 1930 so. Yeah, so this is just the temple, and this is the site here where the first houses were being built in Dallas. Of course, you build a house nearby a river because you just need water, of course. Okay, and in 1941 it was completed, and it got this shape now that you see. Yeah, so this is the mainstream. Sorry, Main Street, of course. This is a Commerce Street. This is the Elm Street. So good, and this is where the assassination happened, and then you got many unnecessary informations, and that's why we will stop here. We only see that in this former Freemason temple there are ceremonies in 1993. Ceremony. Interesting, huh? So once again, a worship. Of course, which is of course very logical when it happens in the area of a museum, which is a temple. Oh my. So then from there on we go into your American rituals, okay? So this is the Didi Plaza. This is an obelisk of Osiris, meaning this is the sun god, which is then, of course, a sun temple, or temple of the sun. You got here an obelisk, which is right in front, or it's right here after the Didi Plaza, and this is in line. Yeah, you see that here, if you look at from the triple underpass, in line with the obelisk on the Didi Plaza. So this is also kind of an obelisk, and here you got above the, from the view here from the triple underpass, you got the top of the pyramid of the fountain place on top of the Texas School Book Depositorium. And this has been built in 1986. And this has been built, if I remember correctly, in 1985. So they are being both built in the same period. Interesting, huh? What a coincidence, once again. That from that viewpoint, it seems to be in line with the obelisk, with the phallus, the skyscraper, and this, of course, the pyramid on top. Huh? Very interesting. We got much more. If you drive down that road here, which is the Houston Road, if you drive it here in that direction, which is south actually, I tried to locate this interesting building here, and this is a sun symbol once again. You only see it from that perspective. You won't see it from that perspective. What you see from that perspective is here mentioning courtyard, and this is very obvious because this is the old court. So much for sun symbolism. You got an obelisk and you got a sun symbol on that skyscraper here, on that building here. Interesting, but that's not all. A quote of William Cooper, you know that Behold the Pale Horse, from Mystery Babylon, Sun Worship. He says, if you believe it or not, whether I believe it or not, doesn't make any difference, yeah, about sun worship. Does not make any difference if you believe in it or I believe in it. What counts is the people who have the power, who are in control. They believe it, and this belief will affect us all because they are indoctrinating us with pagan religion and, of course, pagan rituals and, of course, pagan rites and, of course, pagan laws. It's mandatory not to go to work on Sundays because that is the day of the sun. So on Sunday, of course, the sun has to be venerated. If you don't believe me, you look in the annals of the Roman Catholic Church. I think, please help me out, the Concile of Laodicea it was?
Council of Laodicea, yep.
Yeah, 320, something, yeah?
Oh, yeah, gee, I forget if it was.
Yeah, but you see, this is sun worship. Also, the day of the sun has to be worshipped because it's not mandatory to work then, because you have to worship the sun. Everybody who goes to church on Sunday, regardless what church it is also kind of sun worship. So that means that Dealey Plaza, of course, is a sun temple. But you could think of yourself, or maybe just only a coincidence that it happened there. Could have happened everywhere? No, could not. Because this is not only a temple, this is also a Freemason site, because it has been created by a Freemason. And of course, there are Freemason symbolism here. And also on the other side, a statue of George Bannerman Dealey, which was a high-ranking Freemason. So how many Freemasons would you like to collect? Yeah, you see that from every side, actually. From the book Serpent in the Sky, The High Wisdom of Ancient Egypt from John Anthony West. That book has been mentioned by William Cooper, by the way. We see that all the ancient rites, which are not only venerating the sun, also venerate the serpent or the snake, or in that case, on the Egypt here, the cobra, meaning the intellect. So they wear that on the top because they want to receive the inspiration from Satan. Yeah, you see that according to Genesis 3, now the serpent was more subtle than any other beast of the fields. And if you are a pagan ruler, because according to 1 Samuel 8, people wanted to be ruled under the yoke of pagan kings and queens and not by the commandments of God. So the worldly rulers, they get their inspiration or their commands and their thoughts and their orders from Satan in the form of the serpent. And they, of course, praise the intellect or the reasoning and all these age of reason and all the things. These are just the things of people who are actually worshipping the intellect and not God. So their own intellect. Also, there's a branch of people, a profession of people who have a serpent in their logo of their profession. And yes, these are the demigods, so-called physicians or doctors. So these are the old ancient rites, and of course Freemasonry is highly regarding or highly referring actually to Egyptian rites. That's of course where the obelisk is derived from, Osiris. And Osiris also has many interesting things. Of course, these 14 pieces of Osiris, and also the phallus symbol of Osiris. Maybe you see a resemblance here. I don't know. These were also very skilled mathematicians for that time. So in Egypt, they had also that mathematical knowledge, which many people think has been originated in Greece. There are many intermingling happening there between Egypt and Greece. If you remember the Science is the New Religion series about the magical Greek papyri, we know this been taking place and exchanging things, just only exchanging names actually, but things are happening at the same time, just different names and locations and settings. But actually all these pagan rites are almost identically. They worship the sun, the moon, and the stars. They worship the seasons. They worship everything which is materialistic, but they don't, of course, worship the God, and they, of course, don't worship the Savior, Jesus Christ. They're only just been fascinated by technique, by formulas, gematria, numbers, and all the things. But that's not the thing. That's just the thing for the Dealey Plaza here. If you think about that, the worship of the sun symbol is much more older than the Freemasons. If you really think that the Freemasons only were being founded in 1717, which is an absolute blatant lie, we have found out that it has happened much more earlier. You cannot take anything for granted. For example, here, if you look about the sign or the shape and the image, the face of the so-called Sphinx, then it has been changed and altered, and nobody actually knows these days what the original image looks like. So it can be a girl, it can also be a man. That's my suggestion, that I say that you can't tell it because they have faked it long time before. Yeah, so It is not absolutely possible to go into every detail because we simply don't know. What we know is that these Egyptian, and speaking of sun worship or Cyrus worship, speaking of the serpent, of course, you see that in the Bible, for example, the Pharaoh is working together with magicians, and they have a staff which then can be manipulated into becoming serpents. And the staff of Moses did the same, and then he killed and swallowed all other snakes. So that means that the wisdom of you see that wise as serpents, referring from Jesus Christ in the New Testament. Wise as serpents means that the serpent is regarded as an animal of wisdom. Otherwise, it would not have been mentioned the wise as serpents and harmless as doves reference in the New Testament, I think, right? Yeah, and so we know that they worship the snake or the serpent there. So that means also that if you follow, for example, the line of the Ten Commandments movie with Drew Brunner as the Pharaoh also wears a head ornament with a snake. Yeah, so the snake stands for wisdom. Yeah, maybe you find that in 10 Commandments. Pharaoh. Yeah, 1956. Just one image tells it all. Yep. You see? It's very obvious, huh? There's a cobra here, and you see his serpent lines. Yeah, you know what. Who's enabling him to become a king? That's the same that Luke 4 depicts. You might ask yourself, what does that have to do with Kennedy? What does that have to do with rituals? Well, everything is a ritual here. Do you think that it's really a coincidence that they have these very strange buildings all over the place? This is literally Atlanta. Atlanta having their name from the never existing continent called Atlantis or Atlas, who bears the world on his shoulders. These are just ancient pagan names. Atlanta skyscrapers. Once again, you see a globe, you see kind of obelisks, you see pyramidal shapes, and all you see, of course, it has all been downside or in the area of a river for good reasons. And one of the reasons is as above, so below. You got a reflecting pool, which is very large when you build your cities among or at the side of a river, of course. Yeah, you see that all these strange things, which could have a resemblance to the backside of the $1 bill. And these are the buildings in Dallas. Everybody is into pyramids, it seems. And maybe the top stone is missing here. I cannot see that correctly, but all the things, all the people are into the pyramid shape, because actually Didi Plaza is not only the only place where you find the obelisk and you find that symbolism. It's all the way around in Dallas that you see these unfinished, so-called unfinished or topstone missing pyramids everywhere. Ross Tower. Yeah, it's all like the symbolism here on the $1 bill. You even see a one-eye symbolism on 6007 Main Street in Dallas. The official explanation is quite funny. I know it's kind of odd and strange, but we have a lot of odd and strange things in Dallas, which is absolutely true, because Dallas has been founded on the basement, on the foundation of Freemasonry. What do you expect? Huh? See any resemblance here? Nah, it's only an eyeball, you may say. This is just a pyramid missing. But in Dallas, actually, there are no pyramids missing, because they got a bunch of pyramids, as we have later, or as we have earlier found out already. Yeah, here's the eyeball, and here is the 1201 Elm Street. 12 and 1 is achieves 13 in total. This is here the pyramid. Yeah, but of course it's just me looking over the things, and it's me talking over the things. Usually people think that I'm a little bit far-fetched. I don't know. I don't care, because all the things happening are not coincidences and not happening by accident. It was no accident that some kind of planes hit the World Trade Center. And it was no accident that these buildings were falling down in a very, very brief, short amount of time. And sometimes it is so funny that people that, like us, been fooled. And when we realize that we have been fooled, then we really understand the symbolism and we really understand the meaning of that ritual, because 9/11 was a ritual. The name or explanation, ground zero, describes the point on the Earth's surface closest to a nuclear detonation. That used to be the number one explanation of the term ground zero. But from the 11th of September 2001, that has also been used for the destroyed World Trade Center in New York, then been relabeled, renamed Ground Zero New York, which leaves just only one question. Why has it been named Ground Zero? It is not far-fetched to assume that there could have been one atomic explosion. Many people claim that on the, or under the basement actually of the World Trade Center, there was a nuclear detonation resulting in melting the steel on the vital columns of the World Trade Center. I'm no architect, yeah, please excuse my French here. Another resemblance to Genesis 11, when it is about the Tower of Babel, and 11 being the number of Freemasonry, depicting them as masons trying to achieve the sky for a skyscraper. I want to exalt myself above, etc., the clouds, and I want to be like the Most High. It is the American Airlines Flight 11, which allegedly hit the North Tower, was one of the flights for which there is documentary evidence that it never existed. See evidence that flight AA11, etc., etc., etc. I don't care if that has been in existence or not. What I care is the number 11, because the number 11 is the equivalent to the chapter 11 in the King James Bible, which I will show you in no time, almost no time. Genesis 11, and there you go. Yeah. There you got the quote. When you saw what you really want to know, the source of Freemasonry, go to Genesis chapter 11, verse 4. Brett.
Yes. And they said to go, let us build us a city and a tower, whose top may reach unto heaven, and let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth.
Yeah, a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. That's a skyscraper. That's so obvious. And then when you got the number 11, once again, you know that, oh, there could be a Freemasonry connection between the September 11 attacks and the American Airlines Flight 11. 11. 11 also is a number of 11 Sephirot in the Kabbalah. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 11. But there are also many, many interesting numbers, because this is actually 100% a ritual. And rituals are being not made also in the dark cellars and in around midnight or so, which you would like to speak. No, they are happening in broad daylight. Also, the JFK assassination was being handed in around noon, so in the broad daylight. The number 93, of course, is the number of the 93rd floor, which has been hit by the plane, a Leech plane, American Airlines Flight 11. So 11 being the maybe ritualistic number or the prominent number of Freemasonry, hit the 93rd floor. And 93 is the most famous or infamous number of Aleister Crowley, speaking of a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, of so many other orders, and he's been accused of being a member of the Freemason. I don't care, because he was a Satanist. So what kind of a difference is it if somebody claims to be this or that when he's actually doing blood rituals and writing all this tremendous and disgusting books? Yeah. So the number symbolism also here with flight 11 into the 93rd floor could make somebody guess, but of course this is not a content for a regular 9/11 truth movement seeker, yeah, because that requires much background info, yeah, and I cannot prove it, of course. Yeah. But that's not only the point. You see that everybody who's been doing rituals is about American rituals, and I know that he was a British, he was not American. There is no proof that he was a Freemason, but it is proof actually that he was in touch with many, many peoples. And it's also proof that he was a secret service agent. Flight 175, of course, makes 1 + 7 + 5 is the number 13. Yeah, it's also not in the occult centers, not it's an extremely powerful number, but it is not a number that you would choose for your hotel room, maybe. So I won't stress your imagination, because I'm just thinking. My thinking comes from a different approach. Yeah, but 93 is a number of telema. Telema means the will. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. Yeah, love under will. It's always my will. Yeah, it is not in the 10 Commandments, and it is also not in the Lord's Prayer. Thy will be done. No, it is their will shall be done. At 911 also is a very interesting number, because 911 has a resemblance of Hiram, the king of Tyre, had furnished Solomon with cedar and trees. And what is missing here is the valuable verse, 1 Kings. And it came to pass at the end of 20 years, when Solomon had built the 2 houses, the house of the Lord and the king's house. That is the verse which is missing here. But I will insert it here in 9:10. This is 1 Kings 9, verse 10. So Solomon had built 2 houses, the house of the Lord and the king's house. The house of the Lord and the king's house. I have to remember that. Interesting. And it's been depicted here. It's about King Solomon, okay? There was a Salomon Brothers Incorporated, American multinational bulge bracket investment bank headquartered in New York. Yeah? And the CEO and chairman in 1980s and 1990s was being named as a king, the king of Wall Street. So his title was a king. Okay, what's that got to do with the 9/11 ritual? Well, we have talked about Solomon had built the 2 houses, the house of the Lord and the king's house. Okay, and we just copy that verse of 9:10, because 9:11 is the succession here. Yeah. That then in return Solomon gave Hiram 20 cities in the land of Galilee. And now you compare that please with this. 2 pillars are the entrance of a temple. That's why Freemasonry depicting the 2 temples here. Actually, these are the 2 pillars of the Temple of Solomon, because they claim that they were in charge when Solomon built the temple to the Lord. They claim. And now you got the 2 columns, the World Trade Center 1 and 2. These are 2 columns. 2 columns depicting the entrance to a temple. This is being executed here in New York, not the old York. Not the old York Rite, maybe, but maybe all the new Rite or the new world. Yeah, the old York, what happened to be in the United Kingdom, and the New York happens to be in the United States. So the New York is the new version of the old York, and the new world order is the newer version of the old world order.
Well, that's interesting you mentioned that, Michael. How about Scottish Rite versus York Rite?
Yeah, also possible. And also what is happening here is it's
switch that around, because isn't it Scottish Rite in the United States?
Yeah, the thing is though that you have to bear the fact that these are all rites. Yeah, so that is a ritual. Exactly. Yeah, that's a ritual on the one hand. On the other hand, nobody asks the question, why did they build 2 separate towers? And they are not even connected. Yeah, maybe under the earth, yeah, subway station, I think it was. But yeah, but you see that it would have been more effective to build 1 giant thing than 2 separate ones. Yeah, but nobody asks the question, and the question is, it was the World Trade Center. And the way that they have crumbled down in absolutely record time, I think I've seen a paper, and Jörg backed me up on that event, that that in New York, because of the density of the buildings standing nearby, it is mandatory to have some in case of damaging and controlled demolition, you have to have some preparations to get the license to build some skyscraper. You have to install some preparations that there could be torn down and demolished and being tossed around, and not tossed around, being demolished with ease. Yeah, otherwise you would not have get the license to build these in the first place. Yeah, so it is obvious that there is no problem to get rid of a skyscraper in New York when you got the experts, of course. When you got the experts. And therefore, if that is the entrance of a temple here, yeah, that is the temple area. And then you approach the building number 7, 7 being the number of God, or the Holy of Holies. And it's very interesting when I came up with the explanation of somebody who said that, well, they see that these chip sets from AMD or Intel and all these companies and so, they actually resemble the design of the Temple of Solomon. And not only this, you see that the background or the main color of the so-called motherboard, where the chipset has been implemented in your, this is the brain, so to speak, of your computer, is light green. It's always this the color, or it's green especially. So it's as also another reference to witchcraft. And 9/11, of course, as a number, can also and will also be the reference to the Revelation 9/11 when it speaks about Apollyon or the destroyer or Satan. Of course, we have done, I think, several sessions about it so that we do not have to read that verse once again. You know, the angel of the bottomless pit, 9/11. So 9/11 is not by coincidence the emergency code in the United States. 9/11 also means as code, means IXI. Yeah, so IXXI, so that is Roman numerals here. Yeah, hexagon also shape, hexagon means to put a spell on you. And IXI also could mean something about the Freemasonry, and this also been depicted in many other symbolism. Also in the Kabbalah, once again, this is a so-called tree of life at this time with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 or 11 sephiroths. So these are the main points. And this will be of very interesting and valuable information when it comes down to the assassination of Kennedy. Yeah, so World Trade Center 7 had to happen to be the control center, so to speak, of the World Trade Center Plaza or temple on that regard, and is here still standing when the English BBC journalist is proclaiming, oh, it has been crushed and it has been trampled, has been destroyed by fire, when it's in the background still standing. Yeah, so this is, yeah, it's a very interesting thing that the BBC was wrong or part of a conspiracy. I don't know. Yeah, but poor Jane had to defend herself because she says, I think it was, oh, it's just the BBC, and BBC says, oh, we received an information by Reuters, so nobody's to blame for that, yeah, they won't tell you the truth, won't they? So BBC is also part of misinformation, because this is misinformation. She's telling you that the building has been destroyed when it is still standing. Yeah, so this is misinformation. So don't come with the fact that, oh yes, they would never lie to you. Yeah, poor Jane Stanley. Yeah, she's the one who is at least involved in that thing, because maybe she does not know what Building 7 actually is. Yeah. She's BBC, no, she's not CBS, she's not New York Tribune or so. Yeah, she's an English reporter. Well, so many problems. So when Building 7 had not collapsed, although it has been mentioned it has collapsed, so there must be somebody with a kind of foreknowledge. But WT7 means that is the 7, the headquarters, and it resembles then the part of the CIA, part of the IRS, and Secret Service and all the places. So of course this building was the control center or the intelligence secret service center of the World Trade Center Plaza. And the only thing that you need is a study you have ordered to please your politics. For example, here the NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, they claim, oh yeah, it has something to do with heat. Yeah, so I happen to ask then what kind of fragile buildings they are standing and they are erecting, they are building in New York City, if they crumble down and if they're being destroyed by fire. But you don't have to believe anything, huh? Yeah, you only have to have an institute, you have to have a study, and then people believe you. Yeah. And if you ask about the importance or the difference about Solomon and Solomon, then you just have to read the Jewish Bible. For example, on that page here, in the Jewish Bible, it's been called Solomon. When the buildings crumbled, they did something. They just put down or put up lights in the sky, huh, to enlighten the sky. And this is just not only a tribute in light, but this is just a tribute to Lucifer, because Lucifer is the light bearer. And that's also the reason why I think they came up with the idea to enlighten the sky, because that does not serve anybody but the one who is, of course, reigning in the sky, which is the prince of the power of the air in Ephesians 6, which of course is Satan, or Lucifer, his old name. The North Tower had the antenna on top, and the South Tower didn't have resemblance, or the actually meaning, according to my thinking, is the North Tower is the house of the Lord and the South Tower is the house of the King. And because when God is in the northern hemisphere, yeah, Isaiah 14, I would like to be to congregations of the north. North is where God is living. Yeah, so here is the antenna, because it is God's building, or built for God. Also, it has the resemblance of the two towers, of the two pillars of the entrance, Boaz and Achim, in the Temple of Solomon. But just to show you that these things, they serve a certain purpose. These are just rituals. Yeah? They have destroyed the old temple, and then they have put up the light in the sky. Yeah? So to enlighten the sky, as a resemblance, of course, to Lucifer. And it does not stop here, because then they created from the two World Trade Centers a one World Trade Center, or the New World Order, because one world means just one world. There is no second, there is no alternative, there's just one word. That is a trade center for the entire world, or one trade center, one WTC, or Freedom Tower. Yeah, what is freedom? Freedom is the absence of commandments, maybe. So what is freedom anyway? Yeah, so it is called the One World Trade Center. So from two in the New York, from two World Trade Centers, then you achieve one trade center, which has the same name, One World Trade Center, as the old North Tower. And this is your New World Order Tower, with the antenna on top, huh? There's no second one anymore. It's just one. And so they destroyed Solomon's temple, because, of course, the Solomon temple, the Holy of Holies, WT7, World Trade Center 7, was also destroyed, although it wasn't hit by a plane. So they destroyed the entrance of the temple with World Trade Center 1 and 2, and they destroyed the Holy of Holies, because they have to make plans that they get rid of the old world order and then install the new world order. And this here is also a pyramidical shape. One goes up, one goes down. As above, so below. So it has a similar meaning as the obelisk and the so-called reflecting pool at the Dealey Plaza in Dallas. You got both meanings here. You got a pyramid, you got a hierarchy, you got up and down, as above, so below, in one building. So it is one World Trade Center. To explain the symbolism in here, they had to come up with a shape which resembles two things at the same time, which they did majestically. Yeah. And there are also other symbolism here. At the UN building, for example, 555 5 feet high, as far as I think. Also been resembled here in the famous movie from Alfred Hitchcock, who was Jesuitically trained. The name of the movie, by the way, is North by Northwest. Interesting. And you got also a kind of thing which could also be resembled to an obelisk and a reflecting area. But this is just the beginning of the absolute mess. So this is the world famous rocket scientist Werner Magnus Maximilian von Braun, meaning this part of a German lesser nobility. And he is here walking in a fair. So don't let them mislead you into believing that would has something to do with the actual moon landing on Apollo 11. 11 once again. Yeah, so this is just a fair where he is walking. Yeah, of course he's not walking on the moon without any oxygen support, wouldn't he? Yeah, and this is also a very famous astronaut, so to speak. His name is Edwin Aldrin, or Buzz Aldrin, actually. Allegedly the second man on the moon, together with a Freemason ring. So that is the number 11 once again. No, it's not Flight 11 now. Now it is Apollo 11 on 1969. And you see the size of the rocket here is almost the size of the Washington Monument. And this is also the cause because the Washington Monument resembles the phallus of Osiris. Osiris being mentioned here. And you see that now you begin to understand what that similarity could be. Could be also symbolism for Osiris, also symbolism for the sun god or the pagan god. Yeah, that's why people have a hard time believing everything which happens on television could be true. But the problem is actually that television is also a religion. A quote of the very underpaid actor, bad actor Anton Sanonave has been called the TV set of Satanic Family Altar has grown more elaborate since the early 50s, from the tiny fuzzy screen to huge entertainment centers covering entire walls with several TV monitors. And nowadays you got your big, don't know, 70-inch screen or so. What started as an innocent respite from everyday's life has become in itself a replacement for real life for millions, a major religion of the masses. Yep. Don't think by that this showing of a snake has been coming by accident. Yeah? So you see here now the phallus of Osiris, which is of course the same symbol as the Nedidi Plaza at the ritual of the killing of JFK. And now we see here from Jeff Bezos, yeah, the new rocket in the size of a phallus or a penis. Yeah, but it has something to do with physics and costs, so that it appears in that shape. It's a very interesting thing because this Blue Origin rocket here from Jeff Bezos, Amazon founder or Amazon CEO. Yeah, now it's the big thing. It's a very big thing here. Has nothing to do with the phallus symbol. No, nothing at all. Yeah, please don't go by. Please go by. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. It's also very interesting if you look upon the launch of that rocket. I don't know if Brett has looked it up or Brett is aware of that. No. But that goes up, shooting in the sky. With almost linear force, so it is not slow in the beginning, and then it's getting much more speedy and faster, but it's slowly processing, and it's almost constantly. It looks a little bit artificial, and it lacks also here a little bit of life, because I cannot see any bystanders. Maybe it is my glasses or so, I don't know. I don't see any public here. No. Nothing happens. If you remember the old launching of the Saturn V rocket in 1969, there were many people standing on the other side watching the event to happen. But here I don't see anybody. Maybe it is a closed, restricted area, huh?
Well, not only that, is it even public knowledge?
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
no one wants to see here. That's why I said, okay, then I'll make it a little bit fun. And I stopped the timer at 11 seconds for the start, just for the fun of it. And then you see 11 seconds later, you see that everything happens as planned. Yeah, so that this thing is going up without any trouble. It's so easy, actually, as if you would have a computer game. And then when it decreases, then of course, you don't see the entire rocket, but you only see the balloon with the alleged people in it. And this is happening for almost 1 minute at the same rate of course, it is Newton's law, has nothing to do with gravity, by the way. Things falling down at a certain rate. If the World Trade Center is rapidly falling down, it's falling down the same rate as any other object. Yeah, of course, that is the speed 9.81 meter per second square, if I remember correctly.
Right.
But that's not. Yeah, free fall. But that's only not the big point. The big point comes now, because this is actually what is the public here. The public is showing an image on a big screen. What did Anton Sanolave said? Oh, a replacement religion for the masses, huh? They weren't even outside. They were in a closed department, in a closed room, only God knows where. And they were just looking on the screen. And then when the balloon has hit the Earth and the so-called astronauts or any other thing, when returned safely to the Earth, then people were laughing and cheering and yahooing all over the place. But these people were not outside. They were inside the building, because it is too dangerous to go outside. So it is a belief. Yeah, science is the new religion, because the people really believe that everything they saw on the screen happened. Yeah, what they saw is a rocket going up, and what they saw is a balloon coming down. And the interesting part is the middle part. But sorry, nobody's there, because it happened in the sky thousands of not years, but thousands of miles apart, and they believe that they achieved their mission. Yeah, but once again, you see that it's all happening virtually. It is not happening in reality. There are no bystanders, public or what else. People are now inside somewhere in a particular room, looking apparently on big screens. Yeah, so that is part of a religion. They don't know anything. They are not in partaking the event, they are just watching things. And at least one of them is wearing a mask. My. That happened in 20th of July 21. But these people maybe are immune. I don't know. Maybe they're also immune against the truth. I don't know. But because these are very young people, if you look here, you see that they can be influenced or manipulated quite easy. Because everything that they know is happening on their smartphones. They don't read books anymore. They don't know about any rituals, of course. They don't know. But also the problem is they don't care. Somebody who's very honest is the girl called Xaviera Hollander. She says that is the Golden Fellows of Osiris. Of course, this is Dutch here. The Golden Fellows van Osiris. Yeah. This is Dutch here, but she's very interesting, because she says, oh yeah, there is a phallus and there is Osiris. I said, well, okay, and then if you got the saxophone, you see, then you really know what she's meaning, huh? I don't know if you had followed my train of thinking, but I won't explain it here out in the open. But at least somebody who was a madam for the well-known call girl of New York, once again, she's very honest when she says, oh, there was once a Golden Fellows of Osiris. Yeah, so at least she knows what she's talking about. Because on the other hand, I'm not quite sure that this girl knows what she's doing here at the moment, because she is here not only presenting the Saturn V rocket, which allegedly went to space and went down to the moon, but actually what she's doing here is, on the one hand, serving a pagan god, because that mission has been called Apollo 11 for the Freemasonry. And the rocket has been called Saturn, which is a depiction of Satan, 5 in Roman numerals. And the 5 is also the so-called victory sign of Satan. Remember Winston Churchill. So what she's doing here. And not only this, you see that if that is a kind of an obelisk or a column which is forbidden to erect in the Bible in certain verses, yeah, then she's doing absolutely the same. She's presenting you, I think, most likely unaware, a phallus symbol. Maybe that's why she's smiling. I don't know. But people actually don't know what they are doing. I think that most likely she believes that this so-called rocket here happened to achieve to send certain people to the moon. Because if you remember at the beginning of the episode, it's like, what are people from Denmark called? I don't think that she knows the answer. Not because she's pretty, but you see that to her role on this earth is, I don't think, is to explain biblical science. Yeah, she's got another role. She has to smile. She has to look pretty. She has to present some things. Yeah, her profession is not to ask, to raise any questions. So when we know that the NASA is lying in having duct tape flown into the moon, and this vehicle also is, this lander here is more gigantic in size than the top of the rocket, which initially carried this, it is very hilarious to think that they did some kind of do-it-yourself on the moon, huh? Also, that same goes for the NASA first ever color photo of Mars. Yeah, it's almost the same color as the desert of Arizona, just to mention one desert. And therefore, people are really, really, really deceived. Yeah. When parents go with their children explaining, oh yeah, this is a great achievement in science, the only thing that the girl says, oh yeah, one day I would love to be in some kind of them and would love to go to outer space. And this is just so futile because, first of all, these are just mock-ups. And on the other hand, nobody can ever get to the moon. Not only biblically, but also technically, means physically. It is absolutely impossible. We have covered that on numerous occasions on our series, Science is a New Religion. Yeah? And therefore, you see that it's all just one show. It is all just one show, because I don't know if there is any heat protection color necessary for this kind of a rocket here. Interesting enough, the Kennedy Space Center, once again Kennedy, Director Bob Cabana said at ribbon-cutting ceremony, a religious worship, on Tuesday morning, quote, "It's now on a mission of inspiration for future generations," or to translate it in real truth language, it is now on a Jesuitically task of deceiving the future generations. Because he's on a mission and he wants to inspire, he wants to put thoughts in people's minds to indoctrinate the future generations that they really went to the moon and they can go everywhere. Because if you don't believe that they were on the moon, why should you believe that they could go to Mars? Because Mars is much more further away than the moon. Yeah, but people really believe that Elon Musk and all the people there are going to Mars, huh? When they are going to Mars, it means actually another thing. Mars is the Roman pagan god of war. That means they are going to war against you and me. This is why Elon Musk, in my humble opinion, is everything about transhumanism. Of course, for the only benefit of mankind. Mankind meaning then the elite, huh? So this is a ritual here. This is an absolute ritual. All these NASA astronauts. I'm not going into the NASA once again because we did 4 sessions, I think, about it. Here men from the planet Earth first set foot upon the moon. We came in peace for all mankind. Yeah, in these small sentences, there are 3 major faults in it. First of all, the Earth is not a planet. Second of all, it is not possible to set any foot upon the moon. And third of all, they never came in peace for all mankind. The only thing which is clear is that these are liars. And that's the very reason why Richard Nixon here has been signed that document. And Richard Nixon, not by coincidence, was in Dallas in November 1963 when Kennedy was assassinated. Therefore, because he could smile a lot, and therefore, because he knew a lot, he went on to become the American president. But afterwards, as he have tried too much, he was being sent away by the Watergate scandal, which incorporates the exact same people who were then formerly busy with the assassination of Kennedy, as well as Mr. Richard Nixon was one of many presidents who were present at the assassination in Dallas. I know that the official story says that he went by plane in the morning, because I think he was on a business trip to Pepsi. Yeah, but all these strange coincidences that there are many American presidents present in Dallas. Lyndon B. Johnson, Richard Nixon, Herbert Walker Bush, all these people were there. And most likely Gerald Ford also was part of the Warren Commission. So it's all a big setup here. It's all a big setup. Because people have been lied and fooled with science here. People get to know, educated or indoctrinated in the school field or in the education field that the Earth has a tilt of 23.4 degrees, sometimes 23.3 something degrees. And then if you subtract that number from a right angular angle here, 90 degrees angle here, 66.6 degrees is left then. And so this is all just a play of tricks to deceive the people. Nobody actually can prove that the Earth has a tilt, because there is no absolute in space. Yeah, who to choose the reference point? Yeah, maybe the Earth is absolutely correct, and all the other planets have a tilt.
There we go. That's more like it.
Yeah. So that is absolutely futile. This is, you cannot prove it. It's the same as the Foucault pendulum bread.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a really interesting topic right there.
Yeah, it would even be more interesting if this computer now would not be crumbling down. Oh. So I have to switch to PDF once again. I don't know what's going up. And so that is very interesting. Now we come to the very interesting point of the session. You thought, oh, well, what's it have to do with rituals? Well, these are all rituals, but it's not known to the public eye. This is your president, Richard Nixon, who was the opponent of John F. Kennedy in the presidential election of 1960. You remember that famous photograph with John F. Kennedy on the left hand, Richard Nixon on the right hand, and in the middle, Cardinal Spellman. And this is the guy, the opponent, or the adversary of John F. Kennedy, smiling, clapping hands, and so. And you see that kind of a picture very well reminded me of a television, of a vision. Yeah. So these people here, Neil Armstrong, Buzz Aldrin, Michael Collins, they played their part, and they said they would be coming back from the moon. And the only thing that they did actually was to smile into the camera. And here, Freemason, Buzz Aldrin, is flashing a sign, 666, of the pagan sun god, to Richard Nixon, who replied, yes, I understand your language, and you did it absolutely spot on our mission for the celebration of a Freemason ritual to then send a male phallus called Apollo, the god of light, on the Saturn rocket ship, Saturn means Satan, into the moon. The rocket being the male part, obviously, and the moon in every occult system stands for the female part. So this is not much more than a fertility ritual. Why should they go to the moon? And then name the mission Apollo. And the rocket Saturn. It has everything to do with pagan goddesses and gods. So they absolutely know what they are doing, but the public opinion about that sign is, yeah, okay. Sure. My. You see that okay is, of course, a thumbs up. you don't need to flash that symbol. This is the symbol 666. It's the same as here, 666. Yeah. And I know that I made an error here last time. I said it was on the middle finger, but is on the ring finger here actually. But it's nonetheless, it is a black ring, which also stands for Satan. Yeah. So this is Apollo 11, one giant leap for mankind. The problem is, what kind of mankind? Let's not have a play of words, but let's face it as it is. That's one small step for a man, but one giant leap for mankind into leading them into a totalitarian government or new world order. Because they actually believe everything they have been set up for the sheeple on the television, on the satanic altar. And once again, you see here a so-called real picture of the moon when you don't see any stars. Because it would be too difficult to fake all the stars on the firmament. You only don't see any stars in the reflection of the astronaut's helmet here. And it also appears that it's not very far away in the distance here, so that it's not a big area covered, but that's just an assumption here. So speaking of the television set here, these are the black and white pictures they received from the so-called moon. And I have found a source, I cannot remember it, but I've read it, that this was being filmed from a television or with a television camera from a television, which explains then the graininess in that picture. Sure. And then it seems like, oh yeah, these are distortions, artifacts for the sending of so thousands and thousands of miles away to the moon. Yeah, sure. It's just a belief. It's not science, it is belief. And when they have their remembrance plate on the Walk of Fame, or the Walk of Shame actually on this world, Neil Armstrong, Edwin Aldrin and Michael Collins, actually they received their memorial plate here, and on top of them you see the image of a television set with two antennas. It's also the same symbol, for example, of somebody who is not an actor as these guys, because I accuse them of being just actors, because I think it is biblically and technically impossible to send anybody out of a certain distance of the earth. It is not supposed to be, and it is technically impossible to do so for several reasons, not just one. And they received their honorary here with a television set symbol on top. So their purpose actually is to entertain the people. It's the same purpose actually as Kermit the Frog. Yeah. And also Walt Disney, being a 33-degree Freemason, he showed the so-called moon landing in his Disneyland. Of course, Freemason, huh? Somebody who is often referred to having some technical advisory towards the NASA is Mr. Stanley Kubrick, the one with a cigarette here in the middle, and with other scientists and people surrounding from the NASA and scientific research groups. And he is obviously having some interesting time together with them, because he was the director of the famous movie 2001 Odyssey in Space. So that means that maybe the NASA needed some technical advisory, how they can show the stars on the firmament for the moon landing. And I think that Mr. Stanley Kubrick did a horrific job, because I don't find any of them. But maybe he was underpaid, I don't know. Yeah, it's just, you see that black and white pictures was absolutely sufficient, that everybody went into the belief that they actually were on the moon, because most likely many people say, okay, it cannot be a conspiracy, because otherwise the Russians would have solved the riddle and they would have gone public. Yes, if the Russians would not be controlled by the Roman Catholic Church as well, huh? Yes. And so then Mr. Nixon says, okay, that suits me well, that distracts the people, what actually also was one of the purposes of the so-called moon landing, to distract the people away from the terrible Vietnam War and the bad publicity the United States government had there in the end of the 1960s when the alleged moon landing took place. And therefore he flashes the same sign as Freemason, number so-and-so, Winston Churchill, the victory sign for Satan, because Christianity does not have any signs. Yeah. So people really come up with the question, is Buzz Aldrin a Freemason, the Masonic flag on the moon? Yeah, sure he is a Freemason. Yeah, there's no question about it. The question actually is, who is not a Freemason in the NASA, the national agency? Yeah, and so these are all right. These are all just not people who are serving the public bread. These are people serving their order.
Right.
Lyndon B. Johnson also was a Freemason. And the NASA Administration Center, Space Center, he has been named after a Freemason. With their mission control. No? Ascending abroad as an angel originally of Jesuits. Yeah, these are the missionaries. Yeah, nowadays they don't go to Latin America and kill the Indios there. Now they're going live on television and sending you a vision. They're telling you, oh, I got a vision, and look here, and all this man in slow motion on the moon surface. And people say, oh, yeah, that looks very strange. That cannot be here. If you then increase the speed or double the speed, and then you see there's just some people playing around in sand. Yeah. But just the meaning of the whole idea of mission control is to spread the religion or for enlightenment of a community. Yeah, and it is a control. Yeah, so to control the religion of the people. Yeah, they control what kind of a belief you got, and they're doing it extremely successfully since 2020. Yeah, they are selling things on the television as truth. And they have the control, because they have the control of the entire media. Historic mission control. Yep, mission. Very interesting. Jesuits. And the Jesuits control Freemasonry. And don't you dare ever trusting the official government, because NASA is a government organization, .gov. It is not a privately owned company, or by any means of it, profit-orientated company. No, it serves just the only purpose is to deceive people. Very successfully. Of your buddies, who else is then also not believing that they went on the moon? Yeah? People actually most of the time don't talk about it and take things for granted. And for me, this is just Hollywood science. This is just Hollywood science. Freemasons to the moon. This is an article from a magazine from 1969, obviously, called Edwin E. Aldrin Jr., 33 degrees. This is not a temperature here. That means 32-degree Freemason on the moon, without, of course, any stars. Yeah. So Buzz Aldrin is a Freemason. Apollo 11, 11, the number of Genesis 11, the builder and the temple and the Tower of Babel. Yeah. And when they say, I want to be like the Most High, I want to ascend into heaven, yeah, it's more successful than to erect the 555 feet Washington Monument. It is much more successful to send a rocket into so-called space. I don't know how high it got, but actually that's the thing. Yeah, that's just another thing. That's another ritual here. Yeah. The Masonic flag that went to the moon. Yeah. Mr. Aldrin initiated into this lodge, and was a member of the York Rite and Arabia Shrine Temple of Houston, because he is a world-renowned, celebrity. Yeah. Flag of the Supreme Council of the Southern Jurisdiction of the USA. Yeah, you know why it is the Southern Jurisdiction of the USA? Can you guess the county that Mr. Buzz Aldrin has come from? Huh? Can tell you. It is Texas. Once again. Yeah. This is the alleged Masonic Supreme Council flag, if it is not fake news. Yeah, but this is a flag here, which has been said was carried by Brother Edwin E. Aldrin Jr., PhD, 33-degree. Aha! So that after the moon landing took place, he received the honorary grade of 33 Freemason. Yeah, actually, what you have to do to achieve the 33-degree Freemason is to be a 32 Freemason in the first place, and then to have some very, very important meaning for the so-called brotherhood, that you will receive the honorary grade. And I think to be the alleged second man on the moon is a very big task and a very good promotion for the Order of Freemasonry. In the land who was been founded on the foundation of Freemasonry, in the county of Texas, in the city of Dallas. It's all the things having to do with the religious or American rites, American rituals. Yeah, it's the same. It's the two towers, the two houses in the 9/11, as well as Freemasons on the moon, with their fellow symbol and Apollo being the god of light. Therefore, Apollo being another name for Satan or Lucifer. In that regard, Freemason on the moon. Yep. So many illusions everywhere. Huh? I remember of a British comic called Wallace and Gromit, when they claim that, yeah, the moon has been made out of cheese, and if we are hungry, we are starting a rocket. Yeah, nobody believes that because it is a stop motion cartoon. But if you see that and it has officially been greeted by your American president, who am I to doubt the authenticity of that event? Huh? Yeah. This is Freemason stuff all around the world looking. And most people don't get it, that all these people behind the scenes are Freemasons. We got it in the example of JFK, and we got it in the example of the moon landing. And I bet there are many, many Freemasons involved in the events of 9/11. In the November 1969 edition of the New Age magazine, it's been called that Kenneth S. Kleinknecht is a 33-degree Mason, and he is the manager of the Apollo program. Yeah, sure, who else than a Freemason could come up with the name of Apollo? Yeah, and Gemini, which is a sign of the zodiac, and Project Mercury, which is a Roman god. Oh my, oh my, oh my. Mercury meaning also the messenger to the gods. Yeah, that's the one with the wings on his shoes, or the Hermes in Greek mythology. And many other brothers, many other astronauts. Yeah, here's a picture of Buzz Aldrin, but not on the moon. But they say that they have got the truth, and they will say that it is, of course, the moon. This man called Abraham Silverstein, I don't know if he is related to Larry Silverstein, who just rented the World Trade Center at the time when the two planes have hit and they were destroyed. He was an American engineer, a longtime manager at the NASA, and he was instrumental in the planning of the Apollo, Ranger, Mariner, Surveyor and Voyager missions, and named the Apollo program after the Greek and Roman god. Yeah, what kind of purpose could that serve, Brad? Greek and Roman god, yeah. This is the very famous picture of Buzz Aldrin pointing on something. Many people claim, oh yeah, this is a Masonic pose. Yeah. The other explanations are also possible, huh? Yeah, because he knows what he's doing. Maybe the general audience does not know what they're doing or what he's doing, but I'm absolutely sure that he knows what he's doing. And this, once again, that does not mean A-okay. And I found from a German criminal movie, I found even another hilarious explanation about that. That would mean that the explanation of that symbol is A ... hole. But the real symbolism is 666. It's the same symbolism that you find with so many artists, so many actors out there, and he is an actor. He acts as if. Because if you see other pictures on the internet, I don't know which one is faked. And here you see a Masonic flag. And that would very much be a thing which could also be faked by Photoshop. The problem is that now you have to answer one question which I cannot answer. Which one of the two photographs is faked? This or that?
I'm sorry, Michael. I have to laugh. It's just, we were talking, I believe, was it last week, Michael? I forget now. When you are initiated in Freemasonry, or you have to believe a lie. They tell you one thing and you're supposed to do another or something. I don't know. It's just it's yeah, what's with these rites, huh? What is it with all these rituals? They're telling you a lie in your face and you have to accept it as the truth in order to move on and become successful. See, that's what they're really teaching us, aren't they? They teach us we have to accept the lie and that it's the truth. So to me, it doesn't make a difference which one is faked and which one is real. Maybe they're both real. Maybe they're both fake. I don't care. It really doesn't matter to me, because even just the thought of Freemasonry involved in the NASA program makes perfect sense. It's just like Freemasonry involved in the church. It's the same thing. It's just corruption, total corruption. You are not allowed to know the truth. The truth is not for you. It's for the elite, and that's it. You don't get to know the truth. That's what they're teaching you.
Yeah, you say that my question was also in vain, because of course both of these photos are faked.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
At least you see that they have a fake purpose. Yeah, they have to distract the people.
Exactly.
It does not matter if he is holding the flag or something, because he never was on the moon.
Right.
Yeah, so people, they've been fooled around and tossed around with on their nose for any little details, but they don't see the big picture usually. That this is all a symbolism, a religious symbolism, religious rites. It has something to do with Apollo, the name of the light god, the god of the light, and all the symbolism, and Saturn and Mercury and all the things, all for Greek and Roman goddess. Yeah, that is the real purpose. And people just read it and don't understand why that has been named after these goddesses, because it is a religious ritual. And they get money, they get funded by the taxpayer. So the taxpayer, once again, they are paying their own deception, their own indoctrination, once again.
Yeah, like the $18 admission to the to the thing there, the museum. Yeah.
Yeah. If you really only just look for the names, you see that it's hilarious, because we never thought about or think about the usage of the names actually. Yes, if you then look it up, it is so obvious that we've been fooled. Yeah. So that means that on the time when on this paper then was published, on when Buzz Aldrin was a 32-degree Freemason, afterwards he was being honored with a 33-degree. Now, of course, we did something for the Brotherhood, which was extraordinary. So he received his honorary degree, or honorary degree, sorry. Yeah, so obvious. Yeah, Buzz Aldrin, yeah. That's the guy, the Freemason guy, 33-degree Freemason. afterwards. Yeah, he received. And you see, that is always the same. That is so hilarious funny when people, they see a picture, but they don't realize its real meaning. If somebody is sticking out his tongue, it's a resemblance to the snake. And don't get me into believing that this guy is not smart. He is absolutely smart. He's not smart the way that people think he is, because he used a false theory, and he used somebody to translate it. And then he added a stolen formula and mixed it all together. And even after 100 years, the majority of people believing into this entire hoax, this entire forgery. Yeah. So this man was really having anything to do with smiling and sticking out the tongue to people, because they cannot see that he was so intelligent in faking all the things. It's fake.
Catholic Encyclopedia, Volume 11, page 696, quoting again, "The truth we proclaim under oath is relative and not absolute." The truth we proclaim under oath is relative and not absolute.
Yeah, he's having his little laugh there by doing that.
Yeah.
He's saying, see, I gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, he's just a tool. He's just also indoctrination. You see that it's been, nowadays they are calling us liars of science or so. But we are not liars. I'm just looking for the truth. And Mr. Einstein here, Albert Einstein, was not looking for the truth. He just was looking for some way to make him famous. Household name. Everybody knows who Einstein is. Many children regarding him as the smartest guy who ever lived on the so-called planet. Oh, where to start? Where to start? Where to start?
Asshole.
Yeah, because secret also means not only a secret, but also something which has been spitting out, by example, by a snake. And then also the meaning of the eagle has landed has quite another meaning, because in Freemasonry, the 32 degree, where he was at the time when he was so-called on the moon without any stars, once again, that he said, or somebody else said, the eagle has landed. But the eagle is a symbol of the 33 degree Freemasonry. Yeah. And in general for the Freemasonry, and in many other.
Wasn't it a mascot for one of the ancient Roman gods too, or is it a Greek god?
Yeah,
god?
we went into that when we did the NASA sessions
Zeus,
on
right,
science.
or something.
Yeah, you're absolutely spot on. Or Jupiter it was, no? Jupiter, I think.
Jupiter, okay.
Jupiter, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you see that here, additionally, speaking of Buzz Aldrin, is a member of Scottish Rite in the Valley of Houston in Texas, where he received a 33 degree, and the Ararat Shrine Temple, the mountains of Ararat, Shrine Temple in Kansas City, Missouri, it must be. During the Apollo 11 or the Apollo Freemason mission, Brother Aldrin carried a handmade silk flag pictured on the left, bearing the words Supreme Council 33 degrees Southern Jurisdiction, USA. Yeah, so that was a Freemason ritual. And it's not a big secret, but you see that you have to realize that also JFK was a Freemason ritual. So now you see that 3 events, 9/11, the moon landing, and JFK, are all Freemasonry rituals. And that should get you into thinking. Because this has been spared out or left out by all the high praised researchers out there. They never mention the connection to religion, but it has everything to do with religion. It was very interesting when I went into Buzz Aldrin.
Oh, yeah.
because he was provoked by a guy, but I have forgotten his name, and he says that, why don't you swear on the Bible that you walked on the moon? And he went away. Yeah, this is a total futile action here, because neither Mr. Aldrin was on the moon, nor this guy has to have any proof by swearing on the Bible, because you don't swear on the Bible. Yeah, so
right.
This is a hilarious movie, actually, but people who are not into Christian belief, they don't get it. Yeah, and then when he said that, okay, then then if you don't swear on the Bible, I call you a coward and a liar and a thief. On that moment, he was being hit hard in the face by Buzz Aldrin. So if you don't have any arguments, you just simply solve your problem into hitting somebody, into knocking somebody out. Huh? That means that he's got no arguments. And the problem is that YouTube does not count thumbs down anymore. But I remember, if I looked it up, that video about 1 year ago, so it was at 6,500 or 6,600. This is not 666 at the moment here, but on the other hand, thumbs up and about 60 thumbs down. So that means that 99% of the people at the time when I researched it, long time ago, were absolutely in accordance with Buzz Aldrin, that you don't argue with people, you just simply, hit them. Yeah? So then people here come up with the comments here: one small punch for man, a giant punch for mankind. Thanks, Dr. Aldrin. Yeah, these must be fanboys. One of the most satisfying videos ever. I don't normally advocate violence, but for one of the bravest men to have ever lived. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right. That's what you get from the United States of America. And all the rest of the countries that buy into this. I shouldn't speak. It's more individual, it's all of us as individuals. But, really, it's our institutions that have led us to believe this crap.
Yeah.
It's the institution.
Can you imagine the skills needed by the Apollo astronauts, the unimaginable bravery, the brains, the sacrifices they made, their incredible physical attributes, their extraordinary skills as pilots, unbelievable and extraordinary men? Yes, I absolutely agree. This is unbelievable. It just succeeded at the first time. When Gus Grissom, that is an astronaut which has been burned during an exercise on the ground, actually, he says, how can we ever go to the moon if we cannot communicate between two buildings?
Yeah.
And in the year 2001, they had problems with the communication with smartphones on planes. But in 1969, being 32 years ago, they had no problem using a telephone to communicate with people on the moon, more than 200,000 miles away. Sure. My. What a strange world. Yes, it's an absolutely strange world that people actually all believe this crap. And even if they think that they now get the point, that all has been set up, they don't know the reason why it has been set up. There are several reasons, of course, money laundering and all the things, but the most prolific reason is that this is all ceremonies by a secret society. And that is what the people actually don't get, because they see the world as it is. They think that that is normal.
Right. Mm-hmm.
That was beautiful. Huh? He sent him to the moon and back. Yeah. You see that every time I go into these comments, I only have one thought: when will this world end?
Mm-hmm.
Greatest punch in history, and puff, 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 puff. I love that part. Yeah, you see that these people are not into arguing. These people are just into fighting. It's just to fight. Yeah, and the video is called also Buzz Aldrin punches a denier. Yeah, yeah, that means that Mr. Buzz Aldrin and the official story is correct, according to 99% of the people who are watching this video. What does that tell you about geography? What does that tell you about truth? What does that tell you about the current state of affairs, not only in the United States, but worldwide? Worldwide. Buzz Aldrin is a humble man and a hero, a great scientist and not a coward. What does that guy mean? Yeah? A humble man? He's a 33-degree Freemason. My. It's so hard for me to really understand from that point of view or research that people actually believe everything. There was also a poem by a certain Ben Lipset, if that guy has ever existed, and it's called Mission Accomplished. Yeah, Mission Accomplished. Oh, what a coincidence. Yeah, and Mr. Aldrin was, of course, very delighted that, oh yeah, to Ben Lipset with fraternal best wishes. Fraternal. Buzz Aldrin 330. Oh, it is not 330. It is 33 degrees. Okay, why? Okay, so that makes makes quite a statement, huh? If that is authentic, of course. Yeah.
Sure. Why wouldn't it be? Yeah.
Yeah. Mission accomplished. Huh? So deceiving of the people into Jesuit doctrine to believing that science is a new religion and that they can do everything because they are gods. Ye shall be as gods, said the serpent in the Garden of Eden to Eve. Yes. Then they got their own poem. Wow. And the Kennedy Space Center says to the poet, oh, so nice of a poem. Yeah, because you see that here he was already 32 degrees. And then after the moon landing, he was being promoted into the honorary degree of 33 degree. Yes. That means, Brett, that you have to do something very extraordinary for the Brotherhood of Freemasons that you then achieve the honorary grade. But if you believe that he is the only one, oh, no. Buzz Aldrin, who visited the house of the temple in Washington. Yeah, they're speaking of Freemasons, of course, no? Not the temple that you mean. Accompanied by his fathers, Edwin E. Aldrin Sr., also Scottish Rite Mason. Yeah, and then you got all the Masonic things going on. A flag. Wow. While he was on the moon. No. Brother Aldrin claimed our lunar neighbor for the Masonic jurisdiction of the Grand Lodge of Texas. Once again, Texas is there where Houston is, where Dallas is, where Kennedy used to be. Where Lyndon B. Johnson lives, Lying Lyndon, all the great men of the earth. All the great men of the earth. The annual meeting being held in Waco. Oh yeah, the Branch Davidians. Don't start to open that can of worms. Yeah, but of course they will succeed. It's all the Freemasonry setup. The United States has been founded on the basement of Freemasonry, and they continue. That's why you see around the Washington Obelisk 650,000 flags, reminding the people of the terrific losses of life from the current pandemic. 650,000 small white flags, 6 + 5 being 11. Once again, it's all a setup. The Red Hot Chili Peppers are claiming space may be the final frontier, but it's made in a Hollywood basement. What kind of a symbol is flashing up here? So they're making fun of it. They're making fun of it. And 11 has also another meaning of the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah? Ku Klux Klan, you see that because K is the 11th letter of the alphabet, and KKK, Ku Klux Klan, a word which would never come to mind to any healthy American, I guess, Ku Klux Klan, because K is the 11th letter, 3 times 11 is 33, and then you got your Freemason stuff once again. Although these people were very futuristic in these old days, because they were already wearing masks. But they were not so compromised. They were really straightforward. It covered the entire body, and it was mandatory to be a part of the game, to be a part of the club. And you see that also all the worst things are coming back here. Yeah, but if you are complaining about masks, then look at the Ku Klux Klan. Yeah, my, must it be hot under there. And so please don't question the government. It was just only Lee Harvey Oswald who was being shot in an act of spontaneous revenge. You have to believe that. Yeah. So your government would never lie to you. When documentaries and documents have been revealed from the so-called Operation Northwoods in the Cold War area, that was Operation Northwoods, a series of false flag proposals. But Kennedy refused to go that way. So your own government tries to put up false flags and to frame other people into believing that other people are being responsible for the things which are going on. So this is a list of Freemasons in history. Benjamin Franklin, nothing to do with American politics, huh? It's a joke. George Washington. Yeah, George Washington is not only a Masonic, but also he is a part of the Cincinnatus.
Yeah.
So he's really something when he's really serving the papacy and secret orders and not the American people, actually. Cincinnatus being a Roman dictator with the fasci, of course. So don't be surprised when you see the fascis in the American, what is it, parliament, not...
Oh, you mean in the, what do we call it now? Library of Congress, not Library of Congress, the Capitol building.
Okay, yeah. Winston Churchill, also Freemason. Franklin Roosevelt, Freemason. So a Freemason is announcing the father of Kennedy as being ambassador of the United States to Great Britain, and he himself being a Knight of Malta. Sorry, these guys are in no way anything to do with people. Yeah, these guys are serving other people in the background. Much other people in the background. Kennedy and Roosevelt. Kennedy tried to put the Vatican into Roosevelt's minds. I'm sorry for the bad copy here, but the Vatican in Roosevelt's minds. Yeah. Have anything to do with the Vatican, the family of Kennedy. Yeah. Also, when Pope Pius XII has made a tour through the United States for almost 12 months in, I think it was 1930 some. Also interesting. Yeah, that is so-called Hitler's Pope. That is a Pope who reigned from 1939 on, so during the Second World War. So therefore, you see, you got here Roosevelt, and you got Kennedy. Knights of Malta, Freemason, everything mixed and tossed together. But of course, no representative of any community in the United States. Harry Truman, Shriner, coronated. It was very interesting because he was the 33rd president and as well as coronated as a 33-degree honorary in October of 1945. Yeah, so 33. Oh, very interesting. And maybe you know that guy. I don't know if you know them. Otherwise, you have to only read the context. That is a guy who was born in Ukraine, very recent country at the moment. His name is Abraham Zapruder, and he was a major movie maker who was at the presidential motorcade in Texas by accident. It's on the German page only. Zufällig means by accident. He filmed the assassination on President Kennedy in Dallas. By accident. On the same regard is that Dealey Plaza is a Freemason plaza, a Freemason Sun Temple, and in Dallas, the city founded on the basis of Freemason, in a Freemason plaza, there stands on top of a stone stands Abraham Zapruder by accident, who was not an accident, a member of the Freemasons, as well as a member of the Shriners. If I remember correctly, he was at that time a 32-degree Freemason, and after he was making that movie, he was, you guess it, Yeah, correct. Because he did a tremendous service to the Brotherhood. And don't think for one moment that he was standing there by accident, because he's standing at exactly the same spot where Kennedy has been killed. Yeah, he was standing on that pedestal here.
What, they have actual pictures of him there?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's freaky.
And you see him also in the Orville Nix movie. When we come down to the movies, the Zapruder movie, Nix movie, and so you will see so many strange things. Yeah. And also Mr. J. Edgar Hoover, who was at that time, he was the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation. So everything to do with investigation was in the service of Mr. Hoover. And he became a 33-degree Inspector General Honorary in 1955, the highest level in Freemasonry. Yeah, you see that he was already 8 years the high-ranking Freemason when Kennedy was assassinated. And his job, of course, is to collect evidence or to get rid of the same. Yeah. You got Freemasons all around the place in Dallas. Earl Warren, for example, the Chief Justice of the United States, during the time with the Kennedy administration or the Kennedy assassination, has a book called Earl Warren's Masonic Lodge. He was a Grand Master of the Freemasons in 1933, 1935 already, almost 30 years before Kennedy was assassinated. And that was the highest official Chief Justice in the United States. Also a Freemason, and not by coincidence, his name is Warren. Yeah, he is the one who then gave his name to the so-called Warren Commission. Yeah, Gerald Ford, the later president then, or future president, 32-degree Freemason, if that is correct. Skull and Bones, Alan Dulles, SMOM. Nobody of them is any representative of the state. Mozart, also a Freemason. Mark Twain, a Freemason. He says, very interesting quote, "A lie can travel halfway around the world while the truth is putting on its shoes." Yep. And he knows what he's talking about. He was a Freemason. He knows that they have to act very fast. Even the co-founder of Apple, Steve Wozniak, is a Freemason. Yeah, that's really sad. It's so sad, actually, that people don't see that the United States was ruled officially from the Brotherhood of Freemasonry. Yeah. If you see all the symbolism on your dollar bill, if you see the statues of Albert Pike, who is at the moment, I think, not present anymore. Yeah, and you see that also Mr. President Bush is lying in bed with a pyramid on his belly. I don't know what to make up out of it. Huh? The problem is that all the things are religious rites. 9/11, moon landing, JFK. And next time we will go extensively in the JFK ritual, and we won't believe anybody who is putting out anything in front of us, because all people can lie, because they are mostly part of any secret order. May it be Catholic, may it be Protestant. I don't care, because you see that these people don't tell the truth. Yeah, also the lover of LBJ can lie. Everybody can lie. But, and it's a big but, if we go into symbolism, we then explain why everything has to happen that way and not the other way. And that we will do in the next session. So please don't, by any means, don't miss the next session, because then you have all the pieces of the puzzle, I hope, together. I'm sorry that we did not incorporate much Bible, but I'm absolutely tired at the moment. And I hope that we have put up some very interesting information, that you really see that the world has not only run on religion, but also everything that happens has a religious meaning that the general audience is absolutely unaware of and won't be told by your mass media. Thank you very much for having me. And before we close down the session, I have to hand over the famous last words to my beloved brother Brett, whom I thank for spending so much time with me. So God bless and Maranatha.
Yes, Michael, thank you for all the research here and going into all the great details of all the different aspects of, you know, everything surrounding the event that we're about to go into, which is very important. And nonetheless, these rituals, it's always good to take a look and see, you know, and question why are these things so? Why is it that we have to accept lies in this society? You know, is that really what binds society together? Is a big fat lie? Makes me wonder, you know, sometimes, because I've often thought, I'd just rather not be a part of this society because it's so corrupt. So yeah, when you see an institution named the Society of Jesus, it really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How they can get away with so much. Well, man, the Bible will tell us that these things were meant to happen. They're meant to be, and I think that really turns a lot of people off, Michael, when they see that in the scripture, that you mean to tell me that these people are so evil and they can get away with it? Well, yeah, because that is the position of the God of this world. That's what the God of this world does. He rules over his subjects with a rod of Roman iron, actually. And that's exactly what this man laying in bed with something close to the center of his body there, with the pyramid there. You know, they have to take the position of Pharaoh in the modern times. I mean, that's their duty. That's their goal.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I could have come up with another thing which just came into my mind. I'm sorry.
Please go.
But there's also a story with his son, according to 9/11.
Absolutely.
When he was in school, at the moment when the attack happened, September 11th.
Oh yeah, the ritual.
He was, he was reading some story of a goat.
Yeah, my pet goat. Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, my pet goat. And he, because Satan depicts himself as the scapegoat, he was not only reciting or letting recite about this goat, but also something else, because he had the children repeat steal and plane.
Yeah? Oh, so yeah, that's right. Plane hit steal or something like that.
Yeah. So and you see, maybe that is the most interesting thing that happened there. I don't know if it is still on the internet. I don't know, but I'm 100% sure, because I see.
Yeah, me too. I've seen it many times. Yeah.
Yeah, and so you see that it's absolutely ritual, that what they are doing during the attacks. They showed the American president.
With children.
The children, yes. They're absolutely unaware what happened.
Incredible.
All these words on this page without making a mistake. Look at the letter at the end and remember the sound it makes. Get ready. Kite. Yes, kite. Get ready to read this word the fast way. Get ready. Kid. Yes, kid. Sound it out. Get ready. Kid. Sound it out. Get ready. Kid. What word? Kid. Yes, kid. Boys and girls, sound this word out. Get ready. Steal. What word? Steal. Yes, steal. Read these words the fast way. Get ready. Play. Yes, play. Get ready. Must. Yes, must. Let's read these words the fast way without making a mistake. Get ready.
Kite.
Yes, kite. Get ready.
Kit.
Yes, kit. Get ready.
Steal.
Yes, deal. Get ready.
Rain.
Yes, plane. Get ready.
Must.
Yes, must. Go to your pick your reader up from under your seat. Open your book up to lesson 60 on page 153. Count of 3, everyone should be on page 153. If the yellow paper is going to bother you, drop it. Thank you. Everybody touch the title of your story. Fingers under the title. Get ready to read the title, The Fast Way. We're waiting for one member. Thank you. Fingers under the title of the story. Get ready.
Go and go.
All the things which are happening here, these are rituals. 666 rituals, sun god ritual. It's the same ritual that also was performed and executed the President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. It's all the same. It's just other names, other purposes, other dates, but it's all the same.
Yeah, I just was kind of dumbfounded by that when I first heard about it too, Michael, that, you know, that George W. Bush was sitting down with all these children and the teacher was reciting this book, My Pet Goat, and or just teaching. I don't know if it was out of the book or not. I really can't remember, but it's just so strange, so odd, but that's kind of how this whole thing works. They kind of, you know, they expect you to just not question it and just take it as it is. And, you know, whether you like it or not, that's how it works. And yeah, it's a conspiracy that is so big, is so large, that it will blow your mind, actually. And that's why you should have, you know, level-headed friends to talk about that and, you know, question these things, get your mind out of the mainstream, because the mainstream is exactly the toilet that they want you to live in. And you want to fill you with this refuse and make it a part of your life, so that's all you know, and you don't look into anything else. So yeah, it's just absolutely infuriating to me to watch this stuff. But what you gonna do about it, you know? It's the mafia right in your face. Yeah, they praise the mafia in this country, Michael. It's all, you know, one big money-making scam. And, you know, well, what is our money but debt? Makes you really wonder about what the real purpose behind this big deception is all about. And giving us debt notes for currency. It's not fair. It's not something that is righteous at all. In fact, that's why Jesus was so upset in the temple when he saw the money changers at the temple, you know, selling these coins, or they're selling the temple. I think it was a temple coin or something, wasn't it, Michael? That they were actually making, at that time, they were making people debtors, and you know, in Matthew 23, you can read about that too, study that. And you know, I think the Lord knew exactly why he needed to say something about it because it's slavery, essentially. We're all slaves, Michael, and we serve the same Roman God as did the people at the time of Jesus, actually. So nothing's changed, actually. It's been 2,000 years, the same system. Incredible, just incredible. But you really need to study it for yourself to really know that. You can't really tell someone that, because guess what? If they're not ready for it, they're not going to like it. They're not going to handle it. They're going to get really upset with you. So be careful. And don't forget to read and study your Bible. Find people that are of like mind and be part of the brethren. Get to know your scripture, memorize it, start praying for the Holy Spirit, start praying for your friends and family, and you might notice that, God is graceful, God is good, and he does provide a way for you to grow in your faith, provided that you show respect and you show some real obedience to his law in the Bible once you have the time to take and dedicate to that. So yeah, speaking of that, Michael, thank you for taking the time to dedicate to doing this session with me on this deep look at the Kennedy assassination all over again with new eyes. And yeah, rituals. Yeah, this is such a good point, Michael. I'm really glad you brought this up because, first time I heard about this, George W. Bush doing this ritual here with the children, it just was like, what? You got to be kidding me. No, it's real. It is very real. Just go research it yourself and find out for yourself and own it. And, it's not something to be proud of for sure, living in this country. But, what does the Bible promise us in Psalm 91? It's the reward of the wicked. The wicked will be recompensed for what they've done. And they get great riches and worldly honor and all that right now. But look, this is all going to come to pass one of these days, and it's all going to end just like in the book of Revelation, chapter 17, 18. Just read it. Look at it differently. Read the King James. The King James Bible is the only Bible that explains itself. You don't need to have someone explain the Bible. You just simply need to read it over and over and over again. And even so, once you know the scripture, Exodus 20 instructs us to keep the Sabbath day, to keep it holy. And historically, we found that actually study is best on the Sabbath. Well, it's a day of rest, but study also, because that's where the Spirit resides, is in the true knowledge in obedience of righteousness. And with that being said, we'll catch up with you next time, Maranatha.